Hi, I'm Melody.
And I'm Candi.
And you're listening to
Quirks, Bumps,
and Bruises. Well, on this episode of Quirks, Bumps, and Bruises, it's all about... And that is the sound of a baby crying. Now, we don't have a baby yet out of my co-host, Candi Payne, but we are getting very, very close.
Yeah.
And Candi, I'm going to go all the way back to when we first found this out. Not you, but me.
Yeah.
Because you obviously found it out before I did. But I remember coming in one morning back in May. I can't believe it's already been that long.
Unreal.
And I came in and I was walking toward the control room, but you were on the other end of the room toward our little kitchen area. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I don't think I had taken many steps at all. Mm-mm. You go, Melody, I got to tell you something.
I don't even think I told you good morning, like when you walked in the door.
No, you were like, I got to tell you something. And I thought you were going to tell me you were going to quit. You were going to leave.
Oh.
And I was like, I cannot do another co-host. I cannot go through. I've been here going on 18 years and I've been here the whole time with a few changes in and out. I can't do it again. And then you go, I'm pregnant. And
Were you expecting that at all?
No, I think I was stunned. And then I think the next words out of my mouth were, you're going to be 58 when the child graduates from high school.
Yeah, that was so encouraging. No congratulations. No. Wow.
But then I hugged you. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And so excited because go back even further, a year, maybe even 2 years. I remember, and I'm just going to be honest. I hope you don't mind me being honest.
No way.
You and I sitting back in our lounge area.
Eating breakfast.
And you had tears streaming down your face because you really wanted another child.
So badly.
Mm-hmm. And so I just remember just trying to encourage you during that time, and God's timing is perfect, which I know all that stuff you don't want to hear when you're going through something.
But it's true.
But now that you look at it, you know, because back then there may be a reason that you may not ever know, or at least on this side of heaven, why it didn't happen earlier. But the timing of his will for our lives is always perfect.
It is.
So how do you feel about that now? Looking back on that time where you were really struggling to now.
I can look back and I actually can see why the timing wasn't right, or, you know, different situations, just things even involving our home, you know, getting things. I mean, it's just, I can look back and say, okay, God, I know,
get it.
I know. And I get it. It's just so hard when you're waiting and you don't see it, and you don't know that God is going to bless you with that because you think
that you may not get it at all.
Yeah. So at the time you're just like, why? And when he's just like, just be calm and wait.
Let me get everything in order.
Yes. And looking back now, where we are in our family, where we are in our church, where we are, just everything has just played out like it should, I guess I should say. The Lord had planned it. And so I'm thankful. You don't always see that this early, but I have, and I'm just so grateful for that reason. A lot of that is the reason I would like to name her Grace, you know, have a middle name or just somewhere in her name be Grace, just because his grace has been so good and all that.
And I look back, knowing you as well as I do at that time compared to now and the things that have transpired. You had moved, but then you ended up moving closer to your husband's family.
Yes.
And you needed to make adjustments in that housing situation to make it work for the number of children that you have. Yes. But the main thing is your husband.
Yeah. God's really transformed him and
Jake's always been a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Love the Lord, and, you know, y'all were active in your church, but man.
The Lord, over the last 6 months, the Lord has just been opening doors for him and just completely, you can just see God's hand on him in so many things. And so I've enjoyed watching that. But I think he needed to be in a place where, you know, and if we had had a baby a year ago, he may not.
That could have been just completely set aside because of the busyness of a new baby.
Absolutely. So just the timing and all that. It's so wonderful that when you can look back and see God in everything, you know, but at the time, you know, I'm like, I'm about to be 40. And I know women are having babies later in life, but it scares me. So it was like, okay, God, I know you're in control, but in case you didn't know, I'm going to be 40 next year. You know, it was like, I just want to remind you.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, God, I know you know what's best, but like, can you just hurry?
Yeah.
Like, would you please just hurry at this time?
Or show me.
Yeah.
You know, can you give me something to show me? I've said this many times. When we're in the middle of something, it is so hard to see the whole picture.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not until you are through it, you step outside of it and you look back into it that you see the providence of God.
Oh, yeah.
And I always say it's like a beautifully choreographed ballet. Like it is perfectly laid out step by step. But that's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard to do.
You don't want to look at that. You just want what you want now. And I think.
And who knows if that had happened back then when you did want it so badly, where you would be now.
Oh, I know.
And where Jake would be now.
Right.
And y'all are in such a solid place spiritually in your lives right now. So much so that I think Jake is going to end up in the ministry.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that could have been a big difference if you'd have had a baby 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. There are trips he's been on or different things that he probably wouldn't have been able to have gone on.
Like ministry, mission trips. Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. And I know God is just, I know he doesn't because he loves us so much and he knows we're human. But I mean, I'm sure just sometimes he's like, okay, would you just trust me? Just trust me. And sometimes you have to really look back and look into those situations and think, you know, sorry, God, like I really didn't trust you during that. And I'm sorry.
And it helps you the next time to trust him more. Like because you'll go through something else where you're going to need to trust him fully.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like when you're a parent and as your kids are getting older, you know this now, Candi, especially with your oldest, you have to trust them, give them little things that you can learn to make sure you can trust them with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say this to you. You have to have this done by this day or whatever. Or you have to, as they get older, you have to be home by 10 p.m. And if they do those things, you begin to trust them more.
Trust them in the small things. You can trust them in the big.
You can trust them in the big things. And so that is big lessons for us as we go through life. And God does do that. Well, kind of putting that aside, let's go back to the names. The name, not names, because it's just one baby, but the name. And if you all know Candi, making a decision and sticking with it,
it's hard
for the long haul is not one of your spiritual gifts.
It's not. It is not. And I hate that. I do. And I hate to say this because it sounds worse than it is, but like I get bored real easy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I really,
well, you're a little
really
ADD, right?
Oh, not a little, a whole lot. So it is like, okay, I want to play guitar, buy me a guitar for Christmas. And then it's hanging on the wall for 5 years, you know, or.
Wait, didn't that happen?
Like that's a true story. Yes.
Yes. You ever played it? You strummed it, didn't you?
Strummed it. Yeah. Probably twice since I've had it. But it is like and then I'm like, oh, I love the name this. Oh, it's going to be great. And I'm like, 2 days later, I'm like, I don't know. I'm bored with that. Let's move on to a different name. So yes, the name is so permanent.
Yeah.
And I'm Candi Rae, Candirae. So I have grown up with two names, a first and a middle name that always gets spelled wrong. Always. Everybody I've never been Candi. It's always a Candy.
Same with me, with Melody.
Yeah.
I'm Melanie to most people, but it's Melody.
Yeah. And you're just like, and you don't want to correct anybody, but it is just like, I want her to have an easy name. I see all these parents that name their kids beautiful names.
With 26 letters.
That I wouldn't know how to spell their name now. And I'm like, I don't want that. But I don't want just a normal everyday name. I want to name her something different. I want to name something that has a meaning. It's just crazy.
Well, you have hunkered down on the name Grace.
Yes.
Not necessarily for a first name.
More than likely a middle name.
And because you feel like God has shown you grace during this time.
Oh, yes.
Which I think is beautiful. And I love the name Grace.
Yes.
But it's putting that name in front of it that you're struggling with, right?
Yes. Side note, have you ever looked up like Christian girl Bible names?
I don't know that I have, Candi.
Well, I have multiple times, and it's interesting. You know, like Esther, Ruth. I mean, those are beautiful names. Naomi, different beautiful names. But would you believe, I'm just going to be real here, they put Bathsheba and Delilah and Jezebel on these lists.
Well, I don't know a Bathsheba. I don't know a Delilah. Well, yeah, I do. Delilah.
Oh, yeah.
On the radio.
That's true.
But I don't know a Jezebel for sure. Why would you want to do that?
I know. And you know, whatever, to each their own. But I don't know. There's just a million names, and they're all pretty, but nothing. Like, in 7 years, is she going to look like Bathsheba? You know?
Well, she was beautiful, you know.
Well, this is true.
So I think that you should just quit worrying about it and name your sweet baby girl coming in, just a few weeks, that since her middle name is going to be Grace, that the obvious choice for you to go with for her first name is Amazing.
Oh, girl, that is a great idea.
Thanks for listening to the Quirks, Bumps, and Bruises podcast with Candi and Melody. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast. You can learn more at joyfm.org.